Hello there, welcome to JonnyBuildz. I'm your host Johnny, and of course with me tonight we have our two Pittsburgh Pals.
Hello, hello, hello.
They are tired. It's been a long weekend for them. So let's talk about that weekend. Let's talk about the fun you got to have. Now, Marcella, this is your second time at Brick Rodeo, right?
Yeah, this was my second rodeo, which, if you guys don't know, Brick Rodeo is the largest Lego fan what do they call it? Lock? Is it a recognized fan? I don't know. Like you said, I am tired. It is the largest Lego fan event in Texas.
Okay.
And it alternates between Austin and Houston every year. This year it was in Sugarland. And it was wonderful. It was a great experience, especially going as a member of the Lego Master cast for the first time.
And Krista, this was your first time,
It was
huh?
Krista's first rodeo, yeah.
This was my first rodeo.
Did you you didn't forget your chaps, right?
I'm from the north, so we don't have those.
So
it was a fantastic event. It's probably the first one that I've been to west of the Mississippi.
We got her on a plane.
Yeah. So what were the challenges? I know whenever we last spoke 2 weeks ago, both of you were kind of getting things finished and squared away, getting ready to be able to take your stuff down. How were the challenges to and from Brick Rodeo?
Krista?
Oh.
Go ahead, Marcella.
So I packed very well, or at least I thought I did. So you did have a different set of challenges. My trees all fell apart, so I had to rebuild them on site all day Thursday and Friday, which was fine. They actually turned out better than when I originally planned them, and everything was fine.
And Krista, of course, you're still recovering from shoulder surgery and everything, and obviously that's gonna physically raise its own challenges.
No, but I had great help getting from and to the airport both times. So it was just more so a challenge of weight distribution and packing things in a way that they didn't get destroyed.
Well, that's good.
So one little minor mishap on site. Just one little minor mishap.
And what was that? What was the minor mishap?
A little bit of support things fell apart, and you had a minor little cut. Krista got injured just a little bit.
Oh,
but
no. That's not good.
You know, is it really Lego if you don't bleed for your art?
So my Technic pins didn't want to go in.
Okay.
So I smacked them as hard as I could.
Ooh.
And in the process, either ended up shattering the one side and slicing my hand.
Yeah, Technic pins are not forgiving, I know.
See?
It healed. It healed. She's fine. War wound.
She's fine. She made it.
Yeah.
So tell me about.
But there is one thing I want Krista to point out before we get too far into that, and that is she won herself an award.
Oh, did she?
Oh, I did. Yeah, hold on.
Sure did.
Oh, okay. Something special. This will be interesting. See, I don't even know about this one.
Yeah, I just looked at it and I was like, oh, yeah. No, wait. Yeah, I did. It's been sitting on my mantle.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's neat.
So So I won for the Yoshis for video game.
Ah, very cool. So they had different categories in that, and you won that category.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. All right, I'm impressed. So not only a Lego Master, not only your first rodeo, but you win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm impressed. So tell me about Brick Rodeo itself. I mean, how did you enjoy it? You know, what was the experience like for you?
I had a blast.
You want to go first, Marcella?
Yeah, I had a great time. I think it's the first big convention that I'd ever gone to, so it holds a special place in my heart. Not to mention, we were on the demo last year with like 8 of us attending, all pretending not to know each other.
Oh yeah.
So this year we got to be out and proud, big old family, and there were, I think, 14 of us there, plus others from other seasons were there as well. So Lewis from season 4 designs trading cards for everyone, and it became like this massive Pokemon hunt for kids to go through Brick Rodeo getting all the autographs from the Lego Masters and all the various trading cards. It's like you got to catch them all. And some kids were hilarious. They were like, "Can you sign my card?" And others they just wanted the card as fast as they could get. You'd ask them, "You want me to sign it for you?" And they're like, "No." You're like, "All right. I respect that."
That's funny.
It was just, it was really special. The people are great. The displayers are amazing. And there's just a real chill vibe to Brick Rodeo.
Nice. Pardon my my wrong time clock as it goes off. It is what it is when you're in the dining room.
And I get it. I was gonna say, you're probably hearing lawn, like everyone in my neighborhood decided to mow their lawn like at this particular juncture. Like, it's 8 o'clock. Come on.
Right. Yeah, and it's 7 minutes off. So, or no, 9 minutes off. So for Krista, for you, I mean, you've been to conventions and stuff before, but this was your first Brick Rodeo. So how was it for you, experience wise?
This was probably one of the best conventions I've been to by far. The care that they took in kind of the experience of the AFOL experience, with the panels, from what I could see, not necessarily what I was able to attend, were really good. The displayers were great. The everybody was just so nice, and so like accommodating, and not so much even being on the Lego Master side, but just as an AFOL. It was just amazing. It was great to spend time with all the other Lego Masters and, hang out with all the attendees. And there were some moments that were very interesting, and just hysterical for the sake of being hysterical. Some of the TikTok things should be popping up in our social media pages soon, because we've got to be really goofy and silly with some of our castmates. And one of the big, lasting points for me was Bricks and Minifigs was sponsoring the event. So they did this thing where we played Family Feud, but it was Family Feud. Bricks and Minifigs Feud.
Right. Family.
Yeah. So
it was awesome.
Prior to the event, they sent out the questions and got at least 100 people to answer them.
Okay.
And then they took the Lego Masters and divided us into 2 teams.
Oh.
And it was Team Texas versus Team Not Texas.
Right, everybody else.
The rest of the world.
Yeah, we were the world, essentially, because Maya was from Canada. So it wasn't just like the rest of the U.S., it was the world, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were hysterical. It
We
was
were.
highly entertaining. I think we laughed nonstop the entire time, and I think I laughed for a good hour after it too, because it was just ridiculous. But we swept Texas and came home with some really, really fun and interesting prizes.
Well, let's see. Do you have one? Give me an example of like your top thing, I guess, or whatever, or like one of the coolest things that you're like, hey, I got this. There's Marcella's. For those that don't know, that is the Monster Hunter castle. That is an incredible castle. I've seen it a couple times. It's really neat.
It's the back.
And it's still sealed.
It's still sealed for the moment.
For the moment, yes. Oh, see, yeah, I recognize that definitely. So Krista got one of the Lego, what would it be? I guess Denmark. It would be the Lego employees things that they get. They get something every year, and she ended up getting that one. That one's pretty cool.
Old Kirk's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did not leave my side on the flight home.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine that you had a tight grip on it.
It was under the seat in front of me. Like, it didn't even go in the overhead. It just...
You're
if
like,
it could have sat on my lap, I probably would. But in addition to that, we got a case of minifigs.
Oh, nice.
From series.
Oh, there's Marcella's.
What series is it? 27. Series 27.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. An entire case
each. Yes, each.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that came on the plane with me.
My boxes are still in Houston, because I couldn't fit in my luggage.
That sort of thing happens. That's what you learn when you travel like that. You're like, you know what? I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and kind of capping more on like the rest of the weekend, we did have a really awesome and amazing experience with Marcella. How would you describe him? With Kevin.
One of the kindest, sweetest young gentlemen I've ever met in the Lego community. Just a super sweet kid.
Very cool. So
yeah, he this was his Make-A-Wish gift. Like, what he wanted to do was come to Brick Rodeo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. So, being that you've both been to other conventions and things before, and this being the first time that you guys were guests, I mean, like, you're VIPs at this point, you know, you're famous, you're known, you know, within the Lego community. How was your experience different as far as being a Lego master goes and being at the convention? I've already heard some, but not everyone else has.
I was, for me, it was really... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, it was very validating in some ways. Online trolls can be mean.
Yes.
But they are just a small subsection of the world. And the general public let us know that they loved our builds and they enjoyed watching us on the show, and that was really nice.
Yeah, it was a little shocking the first time someone squealed when they see you.
That's great. But then you got used to it after like 20 times, right?
It happened a handful of times, and like every time it was just like, you know, you're just looking around like,
who's there? You know? Who is it? Who they?
Yeah, the girl walked up to this autograph table and she's like, Krista, Marcella. We're like,
that's fantastic.
So that was really cool. You know, conventions are busy in general, and you're like nonstop, like usually the whole time. But like, I noticed the difference in this one is that the second you're on the floor till the second you leave, you're essentially like on the entire time.
Yeah.
Because you're accessible and people want to talk to you and they want to like know things, and it's great. I love talking to people and I love like getting to know people.
Right.
But there are times where you're like, I just want a drink, or I just want to pee, or I just want to get to my room, you know? So it is something that is a little different, in that you have to account for that and like leave that time in, that it's going to take you twice as long to do anything.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
And to add to that, I'm so happy now that we have that little Lego Master credential because I knocked someone's build over with my butt.
You did. Everything is
I
the butt
did.
with you. What? I don't understand.
I know.
You can't get away from it.
I can't get away from it. And what happened was that the row that I was in was, Krista will back me up on this. It was incredibly tight. And there was not much room to move between. And someone had a custom-made Dune copter.
Okay.
And every
The
time I
ornithopter.
would go past, and every time I would go past, I would like brush the blades with my belly. Well, the one time I decided to go butt first instead of belly first, and we just heard thrash.
Oh, no.
And luckily, he got it. It was just the teenager, this lovely teenager. He got it put back together. He was not upset. I left a note. And about 30 minutes later, he knocked one of my trees over. So we were Steven, and it was all good. But I was like, at least you could say a Lego Master contestant knocked your build over.
That's right.
If that helps.
Right. It's we're gonna have to call you. I don't know, like something like the butt lady or something. I don't know.
Right? I'm gonna get T-shirts made. It's all about the butt.
Yeah, don't put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Put it in the butt. You're never gonna live that down. No, never.
Never. Nope.
So,
Proud of it.
let us talk Lego Masters, since you are on Lego Masters on this, or were on Lego Masters in this current season that's going on, and this was the Lego Masquerade Ball, and it was definitely an interesting intro to it. Like you know, doors open, is like, oh, all these dresses and stuff. We knew obviously from the Batman episode what the next one was going to be. So like, would this be a challenge that you guys felt like, hey, you know, something wearable? I mean, it had to be a headpiece, obviously, for this. Do you think that's something, being that it's probably heavily Technic oriented in order to have all the connectors and stuff and things? Do you think this is something that would be in your wheelhouse, or do you think you guys would have struggled with it?
I think we would have smashed this challenge, actually. Yeah, I think we'd have killed this one.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. I like the confidence.
Yeah, because I think we had just, you know, a couple episodes before that, we had the Over the Falls, and we had been working with the Technic frame on the Falls and the Monkey with the surfboard. So
Right.
I don't think we would have been scared of the Technic parts by that point. And we are so focused on details that I think our mask, like, while I love all the creations that came out of that, I can only imagine the detail that we would have put into that.
Mm-hmm.
It would have probably been a lot like Sage and Ian's, very garden themed, very colorful and beautiful. And if you saw my cherry blossom tree at Brick Rodeo, you know I like foliage and I like pretty in detail, and it would have been really cool.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yep.
And it would have been really cool to see Krista rock one of those outfits, because I'd have made you walk on the runway for sure.
So Chris,
so funny you say that, because we're watching the episode, and Will says to me, he goes, "You would have had to wear a dress. She would have made you wear that dress."
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And you know why? There's only one reason why I would have said that, and that is simply because of the way they had my hair. We would not have been able to put a head gear on my head, because your hair would have been flatter and easier to shape to your head rather than trying to get on a ponytail.
Okay,
And
I appreciate the logistical approach.
Right. Not just to get you in a dress.
Yeah. When's
I
the
would
last?
have never lived that down.
That's right.
For a million years.
That's right. I mean, like, yeah. When's the last time you wore a dress? So.
Your wedding day?
She doesn't even know.
There might have been like the occasional sundress in there for like a graduation or something, because my mom said I had to and I couldn't wear shorts.
Right.
Yes, I'm in my mid-40s, and yet I still
Yeah,
Have to
totally
deal
get
with
it.
my mom.
Totally get it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'd say the last time I was in like a gown was probably my wedding, which was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It'll be 21 years this fall. Yeah.
Well, you would have had to remember how it is and like been like, is it comfortable? And been like, no, I don't want this.
Yep.
Well, at least it was a short time period. It was like
It
walk
was.
the runway and like be done.
Yep.
Right. At least they didn't make them build in the outfit.
Yeah.
No, but
Oh,
it all
God, that would've been
right.
terrible.
Yeah. But it all, I mean, it all had to come together, obviously. So you had to compare. See, I wonder how much, you didn't see that in the episode, but I wonder how much they had to like go look at the outfits and be like, all right, let's compare, get our colors right and everything.
Yeah.
So, the builds. Let's go, and you know, the judges, they were looking, they stated they were looking for the flexibility and strength, obviously, because you need that. You don't want your thing falling apart. And but also how, again, you make the headpiece blend into and become part of the so it's all, you know, one whole thing. So we'll start with, actually, because this is just how I wrote down, you know, who was coming through and how they kind of showed things on air. Ben and Michael. So they're doing this interesting, somewhat intricate, forlorn, eyes can move, so it can go from like a sad face to a happy face, like the masks for, you know, the happy, sad, the tragedy and you know, comedy thing. Their build, I thought, was pretty good. I thought overall it was pretty nice, at least, you know, getting the build finished.
Yeah, I
That
like their,
mask was
like,
the thing of
Greek
nightmares.
influence. I like the Greek influence of it, or maybe it was Roman, I don't know. But it had like the whole like Spartan helmet kind of thing.
Yeah, Centurion. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Then, yeah, and then it had like the Divine Comedy with it. So like I like the theme they were going for.
Yeah.
I could see the creepiness factor of it. It would scare Marcella for sure.
Oh, I don't like it. Creeps me out.
Even
But
is it
Especially
even
when he
creepy?
turns it to smiling.
I was gonna say, is it even creepier when it's smiling?
It is. But I do like the way he pulls the flower out and turns it to smiling, and it's all very cool. It's a very cool build.
It is.
But it also fell apart.
It did. Not once, twice.
Not once, but twice.
Yes. Yeah.
And not in the build room.
Correct. In the middle of their
Yes.
performance, it fell apart.
Right.
Which is the worst.
fell
I mean,
apart.
like when you're in the build room, it's not great, but at least you have. I mean, like, because, you know, two others we'll talk about, Maya and Jamie, theirs fell apart twice in the build room, but they still got it,
Oh.
you know, together. So, yeah,
Right.
I when I saw that happen, and I saw the one, and I was like, oh, he brushed against it. That really stinks. And then it happened again. I was like, ooh, that's bottom two for sure.
Yeah. And as a team that has had their build break and been sent home,
Mm-hmm.
and historically on the show,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. I'll save my thoughts for them.
Yeah. We'll get to the end and talk about how we feel about, you know, the end result. So let's move on to Anne and Luke, who got the golden brick last time during the Batman challenge. They decided to use it because they weren't too sure of their build, which I can kind of see, but at the same time, I'm like, nah, I think I would have chanced it. But they did this sci-fi type of warrior goddess which had these dreadlocks that kind of bounced when she moved, and it just looked and actually had glowing eyes, which obviously made it difficult for her to see out, but like it added, you know, to the whole thing.
So, with being at Rodeo, we were with almost all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Because most everybody was there. The only people that weren't there were Ben and Michael and Jamie. I think everybody else was there.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Nick and Kendall.
Oh, no, from this episode.
Oh, from this episode. Yeah. Everybody from this episode. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, so Maya was there, but not Jamie.
Maya was there,
Yeah.
but not Jamie.
Gotcha.
So it was interesting, kind of talking about this episode before it aired a little bit.
I bet.
And the best part was like Luke being like, I don't remember building.
Yeah.
And then just laughing at how much he thought it looked like Predator. And like now I can't see that.
That was exactly what I thought. As soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, that looks kind of like Predator-esque. And sort of that's what they were going for. I mean, it's like, you know, a sci-fi, yeah. So.
Yeah. He was just like, I don't remember that. I don't remember it looking that much like it. But yeah, it really did. And now that's like all I can see. But Anne, oh man, did she rock that thing? Like
she did.
She owned it. She totally owned it. So.
Yeah.
She did. And you could tell in her step, in her swagger, that like she was, you know, emphasizing that, hey, these things are flexible, they bounce, you know, they move and everything. It was really good.
So
yeah, her swagger was impressive.
I don't think they would have been at the top, but I don't think they would have been at the bottom either.
Correct. Right.
But I do agree that playing the brick might have been a smart move for them. Just in the event that nothing broke and panned out the way it did, it could have landed them at the bottom, just given how strong some of the other builds were.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. All right. So moving on from them, we have Maya and Jamie, who also ended up in the bottom two, with the red dragon head. They had obviously some issues. They were obviously well. Let's start here. The thing that's been interesting on the show that you guys have pointed out multiple times is the amount of time they had to put this together. 5 hours. That's it. 5 hours, no extra twists. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And like this is something like the judges even said, you know, this is not, you know, wearable Lego is kind of a new thing. People don't do this all that often, so it's like no one had any experience with it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think that 5 hours is enough time to do anything.
Oh, I agree.
I feel like that's been a big criticism of the show, of especially this season, of like, these are really crappy builds. And it's like, it's not that they're crappy, it's that there's no time.
They're rushed.
They're very, very rushed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we had had 10 hours on this build, imagine what would have come out of that.
Correct.
You know, Maya and Jamie's would have been like, had smoke emulation, and like she could have done so much more.
Yep.
Right.
They would have figured out those problems. Like, there's just no margin of error when the time frame is this short.
Yeah. And
right.
and I know that
Maya did spend it in. She spent an incredible amount of time sculpting that face on that dragon, and it looked incredible.
It did. It looked very good. I was impressed with how good that front, especially with the previous iterations of faces and stuff that some others have done that came out, and you just looked at it and it's like, both a dragon and, you know, other things, but like, yeah, it was phenomenal. I loved how that looked.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just unfortunately,
and given 10 hours, she would have, because we've seen it with her other builds, she would have sculpted a more rounded shape along the side of that box. That, you know, was probably not the final intent for that build, but considering the front fell off with only, I think, an hour and a half left, she didn't have time to sculpt that box out. She had to get that face redone twice.
Yep, twice.
You know.
Yeah. So even, you know, which kind of speaks to like her ability as a builder too, to like, you know, twice we had, you know, they had issue. The first one was worse than the second, obviously, but still at the same time, it's like to be able to recover from that and still finish things, you know, that's pretty remarkable.
Right, and not have a total breakdown like I would have.
Right. Yeah.
Not saying that you would have, but
it would be difficult. Yep. Right. Moving on to one of my favorites and one of the top two is Anthony and Joe. They're Professor Peacock, which they showed, you know, whenever they're getting ready to do, you know, they're getting it suited up and everything, and they're having issues getting the tail feathers connected. Aside from that, the whole thing just looked really great, and it looked like they really knew what they were doing, and the design of it worked very well.
Yeah, I really like their build. I want to see close up. Just it looked like there was just a single connection point
There was.
to get those feathers on. Like,
Yep.
but I want to see what they did to like really make that work, because the weight of those feathers was so heavy, and I know they were kind of using the shoulder as a brace for it. But
Yes.
I want to see really kind of like, I almost want to wear it just to see how they did that in a way, because I can only imagine it's like digging into your forehead
Mm-hmm.
because of all the weight on the back. So I thought it was outstanding and incredible, and it featured most of my favorite colors anyway. So I'm a sucker for blue.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really really cool. I really like that build.
Yeah, that was a well-deserved place in the top two. Really liked Joe's little marching band walk. You could tell how
Yes.
seasoned a pro he is at that walk. And he was so light on his feet. Like, if you go back and you really look at his feet, you'll see why that did not move.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all down to the way he walked down that runway.
Yeah, well,
One thing I do wish they would have done for this that kind of just annoyed me overall was, I wish the partners also would have had an outfit for the masquerade. This is supposed to be a masquerade ball.
Yeah.
So I wish both team members had an outfit. It didn't have to be quite as elaborate, but it's supposed to be a ball. Let's go to the ball. You know?
Yep. I kind of agree with that, because like if you noticed, every single one of them, like you had the person walking that had the attire, and then the other person was part of it. You know, they were doing whatever
Right.
the genuflex and the, you know, like the parts of, you know, they were interacting as part of it. And you're right, it does kind of take away from that.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought it was cool too whenever he's talking about the heel roll toe, because I was in marching band, you know, since 8th grade and stuff, and we marched the exact same way, and you know that's exactly you know, they always teach you like you want to make it so you can balance anything, or you know, whatever, and move along silently without, you know, cause. That's how you do it, and it takes a lot of practice, and you do a lot of practice for it.
What did you play, John?
What's that?
What did you play in marching band?
Trombone. Best instrument.
Nice.
So, top two for them, and then we move on to Corey and Rebecca, which is very interesting. So theirs was, they called it Lady Allure. And one thing that the judges, you know, they focused on was the judges came over and talked with them, and they're like, hey, you know, you might want to be careful that it's too simple. And I disagree. I think the simpleness worked for them, because one, it was obviously very light and easy to wear, but they really made it stand out in such a way that, like, it didn't matter. It didn't have to be a full thing. They weren't going to win necessarily, but they definitely were not going to lose.
Yeah, I agree with that. The whole less is more, like, really made it, and I liked kind of the offset of it, that it wasn't like symmetrical.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that, and I think for as simple as it was, there was still a lot of detail in it.
Yes.
And I like their color choices and how that actually blended with the dress. I think theirs was probably one of the better ones that matched the outfit.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah, and I think there were 3 that were just shocking when that door opened. Like, my mouth stood agape. And they were one of them. The Peacock, them, and then we'll get to Ian and Sage. But
yeah,
I believe that the fact that Corey wears suits also added to their visual and their dance down the runway. Like, Rebecca slayed that runway. She had the best walk. I mean, she killed it.
That
was
sold
just
it right there. Like the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, because I mean, like,
dance.
because of the lightness and everything, nothing moved. It stayed where it was supposed to. There was no needing to be, because all the others, if you watch, they're all, and again, not everyone does that sort of thing on a regular basis like they do, because again, they're used to doing these kind of things. But like,
Right.
There was no hesitation. There was no like, ooh, we gotta, walk very stiff or very slow just to make sure everything stays there. No, they were all over, and yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed their build.
And then we get to probably your favorite, Sage and Ian. They had what was this? Guardian of the Forest, with like, had a waterfall dripping down. They had all kinds of leaf detail. I can't remember if there were creatures in her hair necessarily. I can't remember if I saw anything like that, but definitely
I can't remember.
Yeah, definitely lots of the trees, and they did have it so it kind of went down into, the rest of the costume and everything. Like it blended very well. It looked really, really, really good.
Yeah, it was flawless.
It
really was. And it was definitely like something that if you looked at it, you kind of did that double take of, is that really Lego?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just had that like next level quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like you said. It was pretty seamless with the dress, and that waterfall looked a little familiar to me. I remember seeing a very similar waterfall early on in the show.
Yeah. How about that?
Right. And Ian just walked down the runway. I don't know how anyone kept a straight face from the cast, the crew. He had it on 11, and it was just phenomenal to watch. But yes, this mask it's just gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Yep. So well deserved for them to be in the top two, along with Anthony and Joe. Totally agree with that selection. Out of those, though, very close behind them, I think, was Corey and Rebecca's. I think theirs was very close, but because of the simplicity, they were a little, just behind the other two.
I concur with that.
Yeah. And the judges picked Sage and Ian, and I agree. I think theirs just was a little bit more. Joe's and Anthony's was very good and looked great and stuff, but wait, did they pick them? Wait a minute.
Nope. Anthony and
Anthony and Joe. Yeah, I underlined it and I totally missed it. No, never mind. It could have been either. I mean, like I could have gone either way with that. But yeah,
so something that hadn't fully occurred to me, like I knew it, but I didn't realize it until we were around all talking to each other, is just like the way the show presents itself. It seems like the judging just comes at the end.
Right.
But what you don't realize is we have cameras on us the entire time. Our mics are on the entire time. So the judging actually is the entire time throughout the process. So, looking at it more holistically, and unfortunately on this season, we don't see a lot of the build process, which is unfortunate. But knowing that angle of it, I can understand maybe why one team edges another one out sometimes, because it gives a different perspective than just what happens in like the last 10 minutes of the show.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yep. So now, the bottom two, and I think we can agree on them both being in the bottom because of what happened. We have Maya and Jamie with their red dragon, which looks great from the front, not much in the back. They did have issues, at first, which, like you said, though, their build broke twice. I mean, like, that could be something that they saw as things went, but also they recovered well from it, so that could also be an influence. But it did seem to lack a lot because, again, they had to turn, you had to do a turn with it and everything, and you had to see everything, and so you kind of had, some lackluster with that. But then Ben and Michael's, because theirs broke, and so give me your thoughts as ones that have had one that breaks, how you feel about the end result of Ben and Michael's not being picked to be the ones that go home.
So there's another little side thing here that we have to take into account too, and that's that if you're not 100% certain that something's going to work, don't mention it.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Maya and Jamie mentioned this power function
yes.
of wanting to have the glowing eyes, and it didn't happen.
Correct.
So by telling the judges that they were going to have this thing and then not having it there and not having it work, that worked against them.
Right.
Add that to the fact that they had a blocky build, that counted against them. Now, in a perfect world, when your build breaks on the runway, you go home. We've seen it before. You know,
Right.
things have happened. You know, there was that where they create the dogs that walked down the runway, and one of the dogs' heads fell off. And, you know, but I do think if I sit in my heart of hearts and look at it from a purely statistical degree of difficulty,
Mm-hmm.
Ben and Michael's build was just that much higher
Okay.
than Maya and Jamie's. It had a higher level of difficulty, and I can see how it just edged them out. If Ann and Luke didn't have the golden brick, I'm not sure Maya and Jamie would have ended up in the bottom. I don't know. Who knows? You know, the beauty of their dragon may have saved them for another week.
Right.
We'll never know.
Nope.
On any given Sunday, your build can break.
Or Monday, as it were.
And things can go wrong. Or Monday, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah, I concur with a lot of that. You know, the other thing to kind of consider too is we don't know what the cast members were going through behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in talking to Maya, we know that Jamie had gotten sick at one point. So, you know, he might not have been 100%. So the days are long and all of that, and when you're not feeling your best, like, that can be a whole different thing. So I don't know how much that played into it as well, and like if she was kind of maybe shouldering some of the burden
Right.
because he wasn't at his best. So I don't know that for sure, just kind of throwing that out there as a potential. But I kind of agree with Marcella in the terms of the technical side. You know, Ben and Michael have been consistently strong and consistently performed techniques that are at a higher level. So I think there's a greater forgiveness when they don't kind of meet that level. And it to that point earlier of if you say it's going to be on the build, it better be on the build.
Right.
I mean, I watched a lot of cooking shows, like MasterChef being one of them. And if you say I'm having steak with French fries, but you give steak and mashed potatoes, that is not what you promised the judges. And it's like, well, okay, well now why?
Yep.
Why? Like,
Right.
you can't pull that off.
Yep.
So I agree. I think that maybe worked against them throughout the entire episode of judging. Like, they were so hard focused on this one thing, and when it didn't work, there was no time to pivot, and the judges took big notice of that, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The dragon face was incredible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of my favorite faces, you know, and I thought that was a really kind of clever way to do the red. Like, that would have been amazing if they'd pulled it off.
Right.
But, you know, the fact that they had to do that twirl, the build was unfinished.
Yeah.
Because it was a ball. It was a baseball cap, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A square baseball cap.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a whole mask in that regard. She would have been better off kind of following what Corey and Rebecca did and just having more of a thin, like, if she'd done that as like a dragon's tail, like, weaved through the back, like, it would have been next level and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Right. Yep. No, I agree. And of course, always hindsight is, it's always the like,
Oh,
oh, if only, but
Right.
it's kind of fun to do that sort of thing. It's like, what could you have come up with? Do you think, So
yeah.
Yeah, and again, it all comes down to 5 hours. I mean,
yes,
you just don't have the amount of time that you need to properly construct these builds.
yeah,
And we said it before to anybody that's complaining about blocky, weird, look at the amount of time.
mm-hmm,
You know, there
yeah,
are subreddits out there that are doing the data for us. They're going back, and I started to just because I was curious, but there are people doing deep dives on the amount of time differences between seasons.
yeah,
And it's shocking the amount of time this season has gotten compared to others on average.
yeah. Well, let's look at it this way too. So you figure if you're doing something where you have Lego instructions, okay? Say you're doing a speed challenge, I've done those. So you're trying to do, and I've done, the UCS Millennium Falcon, 7,500 pieces in 10 hours is insane. That's without any kind of development, figuring things out, having to readjust or whatever, because you have the instructions for you, and you have all the pieces. You're taking half of that time to do whatever you can, developing everything, creating a plan, a look, having to go get the pieces and source and everything like that. That's, I mean, there's just not much time. I mean, it really isn't.
And create, rehearse,
Yes.
and produce a whole story on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because you don't know how much time we spend in the rehearsal room coming up with those stories and the skits, and
Yeah, and the flip side of that too is, in talking to other seasons and kind of what their production schedule was, ours was also sped up. So imagine doing that speed build multiple times a week,
Right.
like without break,
Right.
So when do you catch your breath? When do you recharge? And for being creative, that's a drain.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. More faster. It's almost like you're at work. Like, oh, you need to do more with less.
Yeah, and what scares me for future seasons is that they're seeing that it can be done,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that it should be done.
Correct.
I know it's probably a cost-cutting measure, and man, I just put this sticker on so crooked. The joys of building Lego.
Mm-hmm. Appropriate.
But just because you can do a build in 5 hours, you see what product comes out. So
Yep.
I'm just saying, give these builders more time and let's see what they can really do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So it's interesting. You brought up, Krista. You brought up the whole, bakery challenge, because the next challenge for next week is essentially, is it Lego? Like, is it cake? But is it Lego? Basically taking an object, and apparently this is from the 90s, but taking an object and recreating it as exact as possible out of Lego. That one looks like an interesting challenge. I think I would have fun with that one, depending on how much time you have, obviously.
so I think Marcella and I would have crushed this, having grown up in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
I think it's going to be a challenge for like Ben and Michael, Ian and Sage, who know these things, but like we've used them. We know
Yes.
what a Walkman is. Like we know
Right.
what a corded phone is.
Right.
Like, we've interacted with these things. So I'm really intrigued to see how the young bloods approach this. Like they can see something, but we know how it functions.
Right.
And I think that is going to be a benefit to anyone who has someone, let's say, over the age of 35 on their team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
for
Yeah.
sure. And from last season, if we remember Triss's ultimate villain moment by talking Sam into getting that carpet when they did their 1-to-1 challenge, I know Luke likes to go big,
Mm-hmm.
but it appears in the preview that he's picking the bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I saw that, and I'm like, You're gonna recreate an entire bed. Okay.
An entire bed, and
Yeah.
and we can see in the preview that part of the frame, the bed frame, falls apart
Yep.
in the preview, and my heart is already sinking. Y'all know where.
Yep. Well, we don't even need to say it. We know where it's going.
I will say this as a, devil's advocate. If anyone was going to build big and fix it and make it work, it's going to be animal.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, that might be a
It's gonna
dramatic
be the
moment
engineer.
for you to go,
Yep.
But if anyone could do it, I think it would be that.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So, let's talk about the new show coming out. Middle of August, I believe it is. Lego Masters Junior.
Yeah,
August 18th.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, did you guys have wind of it prior to the announcement that they just did the other day? No. All right.
So
all right.
we knew back when they were casting us, they were casting juniors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we knew that the casting call had gone out because we'd seen it online,
Gotcha.
and we had wondered if maybe they had been filming at the same time that we were.
Yeah.
Oh, so they don't they wouldn't have used this, or they were using the same set. It's just scattered. You don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I assume they were.
It would make sense if they were, because they probably did the Brictacular, us, and juniors at the same time while Amy was in the States.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
That would make, from a production standpoint, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And
So it looks
prior to her
interesting.
having her baby,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
they probably
She
wanted
was
to pack in as much as they could before she had her baby.
Right. The format we'll see. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to what we have seen with the adults. The host is going to be interesting. It's Kate Osborne. I don't know.
Kelly.
With a lot of it, I'm just like, I need to wait and see.
Yeah, I
because
know.
There's so many things that I'm just like, I don't know.
Well,
This
so
will be the
Kelly
first chance to
was
see Amy and
Brictacular.
Moon as judges, because that's going to be your season 6 judges. So I'm curious to see what their interaction is.
Yeah.
Kelly Osborne seems like an interesting choice. We'll see how that goes.
She was
But
fun
she's
on the
had like
Brictacular.
pop jokes period. Huh?
She was fun on the Brictacular.
Okay. So
Oh, she
has
was
a
on that.
connection.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, she was on. I believe she was on the last Brictacular with. I forget who she was paired up with.
But the thing that's interesting to me is you have one celebrity and 2 kids.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
not a parent, not just 2 kids.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at like kid shows like MasterChef Junior, it's the kid is the contestant,
Right.
and it's dumbed down a little bit for kid speed, but it's probably beyond most of us anyway, in terms of skill. But it's the kid as the contestant, and then you look at the Brictaculars, and you usually have a Lego master who is a builder, and the
Right.
celebrity who is, the draw, and they're
Right.
playing for charity. So to me, this is very interesting, and I'm curious to see how it plays out, to see how
Right.
well it works. Because if you're like me, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of shade for this, sometimes the kid shows are a bit much.
Yes.
Like, I live with one, and that's a lot. So watching a bunch on TV is a whole different level. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, I don't know how this is going to work.
Yeah. I kind of feel similar because watching some of those like kids MasterChef, I've seen a few of those and stuff, and I'm just like, be a kid, you don't need to, this is a lot, I mean, it's a lot for adults obviously, and yeah, it's going to be toned down, but at the same time, like, they expect a lot of kids when you do these kind of things, and it's like, let them be a kid,
Right. She
I
was paired up
wonder-
with, I think it was Randall.
Oh, okay.
She was in the one that Krista won.
Oh, okay.
And she was adorable. She did this like Santa Krampus crazy train thing, honoring her dad. It was really cute.
Yeah.
So I think she'll bring a decent vibe to the show. It's the celebrities that they pick to go with the kids that I'm a little confused by. I believe Ari Patel, is that the one? I believe he was on the a Lego Masters UK holiday episode that I watched.
Okay.
Allison Sweeney, we all know. Sammy Brady.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Days of Our Lives fans. She's, great actress. Don't know what she's got to do with Lego, but sure.
Well, that's kind of what I wonder about though too. Is like these kids. It's like, yeah, like like you pointed out, like hey, like a parent or someone, but like this is like completely, totally new person. It's like, I don't know. I mean, like you're gonna need a certain kind of kid with a certain kind of personality to be able to just be able to handle that and run with it in this kind of format.
Well, like in just talking with you all now, I kind of wonder if it's not an adult because they didn't want kind of like a backdoor audition for Lego Masters for some AFOLs.
Not true.
So these kids are probably grew up in the AFOL community with a parent, a sibling, or someone,
right.
Going to all these shows. Like thinking about it and talking with a lot of people, especially at Rodeo, they saw Ian grow up essentially at the convention. So he's been doing this forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of those things like they don't want essentially the adult to drive the build.
Right.
Yeah,
I can
and
see that.
essentially be the one doing the building, and the kids just are along for the ride. I think they probably want to showcase the kids. And the fact that there's teams of kids, and then you throw in a third person, as we know from team challenges, sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen is not a good thing.
Right. Yep.
And if you go to Tubi and you watched Lego Masters UK, they only had one season and one holiday special. And that first season is a wild ride. I don't know. I think it was the OG. Like, I think it may have even come out before Lego Master Australia. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but it's possible. It was a hot mess of a show. It had 8 teams or something, but it was like kids all the way up to AFOLs, all competing against each other. And of course, the AFOLs are going to like destroy the kids. And I think it ended up coming down to like one team of kids versus one team of adults. And it was a hot mess.
Well,
it was like they hadn't even decided how they wanted it to go. So it was like in like a hotel conference room, and it was weird. It was weird.
Like, let's just try it and see.
Yeah. So we've come a long way, baby, but I'm excited to see. I thought for sure Little Jonah, Small Frost, was going to be on this show.
I was wondering that myself, actually. I was like, I can so see him.
I was so sad when I didn't see him on the cast list.
Same.
For those that don't know,
one of our lug members has a son named Jonah, and he is just next level. He's a better builder than me. I own that.
He's
well,
incredible.
But no comparisons, but he's amazing.
Yep. He's phenomenal.
His Instagram is Small Frost, and he's so good. Like, and he does videos and stuff all the time. Just really, really good kid. His dad is fantastic too. Got you guys your shirts before you had it out.
Yep. Not this one. Sorry, this was Nikki did this one, but yeah, Frost got us a nice. He gave me a nice black and gold Steel City lug shirt that I rocked it at the rodeo.
It'll be interesting to see how that comes out. I mean, hey, if you guys are up for it, we can even review those. I mean, whatever. But we are starting to come down because now we have, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, now we're at to 5 teams, which means, 2 episodes, and we'll be down to 3, which means we'll have that's our finale, right? It'll be 3, right?
Yep.
So it'll be a few. Oh man, I hope they don't do it like the Monday after Brick Fair. That would be
I was just
awful.
thinking that, like, please don't
That
put
would
it
be
right after
so bad.
Virginia. Please, please,
Yeah, please no. Please no.
Because we're all going to be a hot mess after that.
Oh gosh, yeah. Hey, they did send the email out that said, "Hey, please shower."
You know, we are thinking it'll probably be that August 11th because that is the week before junior starts.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm thinking that'll go right into juniors.
Yeah. So what we're hoping is, and we have to figure this out, but we're maybe going to do a play-by-play of the final episode. We're definitely going to be doing a Dave and Buster's party for that one. Dave, actually, both the managers at Dave and Buster's have been like, "So when are you guys coming back?" I'm like, we got to wait for the schedule, but they love having us there, and it is definitely a great time and a great place to be at. So, yeah. But we're trying to figure something out for the finale. That'll be a lot of fun. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you too, as always. Glad you guys survived your Brick Rodeo return and everything, and none the worse for wear. And look forward to talking with you next week after we go through the Is It Lego?
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, until next time, everyone. As always, keep on building, and we'll see you next time.